All right, what's going on, guys? Sal here, back again. Going to be taking a preview at this basically juggernaut game of the year potential matchup between the Chiefs and the Rams. You get two of the best teams in each conference, probably top 4 teams overall. 2 of the 3 best offenses, if you want to include the Saints in there. Probably one of the best offenses after decimating the Eagles last night, yesterday afternoon, wherever you are. But yeah, we got this preview of Monday Night Football. We're going to take a look at the showdown slate. We're going to build a lineup out for it. Probably going to be more geared towards a tournament. If you've been watching me, you know that I do like to try and find some of those deeper dive guys that might get you a couple of points, like a Tanyan for the Packers. I mean, that was just impossible to find. That's just like building 150 lineups lucky. But just some plays like that where you can get some value. But I'm also going to be building some realistic, more viable lineups for either cash or also tournaments that you can split with other people. I just like to go into these slates knowing that I have a lineup or two that has a chance to take home the whole thing. So a lower percentage player, whether it be a kicker in a captain spot, which I've never done yet, but just weird plays like that you can get a differentiated lineup. Also, if you've been watching me, this isn't the same place that I usually shoot all my videos. That's because I'm home right now for the holidays. I'm going to be traveling again on Wednesday, but I'm going to get all this content out to you like I usually do on the week. So that's just why I have a different background. Nothing really on the walls because I don't live here anymore. This is, moved away for college. It's 5 years now. I'm away at college 4 years now, so I got my skis and my snowboard back there for you guys. But yeah, so we're going to look at this slate. It's $11 buy-in. That's something that I noticed right away that was different. I don't usually talk about the buy-in, but this is a different buy-in. Usually I've only seen it at 10 at the highest. Sometimes you get 8, 5, 3, and they're up to 1.5 million, so they got that in. Right now, there's still a lot of time. I haven't entered any lineups yet. I'm going to be breaking that down today. I'm definitely going to be watching this game because it's basically the Super Bowl, and I'm definitely going to be playing in it. I mean, we've gotten just such great games this year. We've gotten Patriots, Chiefs, we've gotten Saints, Rams, all the games that we want to see matchup-wise. I mean, Saints, Patriots, we're not going to see that maybe in the Super Bowl, but all these matchups that have just been absolutely incredible to see, and we've gotten to see the majority of these best teams go at it. So tonight we're going to get to see that as well. It's in L.A. They moved the game to L.A. from Mexico City. Just due to the field being messed up. So I think that obviously it was a Rams home game anyway, so it's fair. What's fair is fair. I just think it's going to be an incredible game. Let's break down into it. Just looking at the slate right now, Todd Gurley and Patty Mahomes, the 2 most expensive players. Salary-wise, closer to $1,700 for both of them. Gurley the most expensive on the slate. Makes sense because they're the most consistent players on this slate, right? You have Gurley averaging 30 fantasy points a game, basically. And he's come cool the last 2 weeks by not getting 30. He's got 19.9 and 28, which is just ridiculous to actually say that he's cooled down. But obviously we know that in the Saints game they were trailing for the majority of the game. And him getting 28 points is a good game. Like, let's not get anything wrong about that. Doesn't matter whether he's home or away. Look at those splits. Absolutely incredible. 30 on either spot. And then Patty Mahomes has just been consistent as well. Basically averaging 30 points a game, 29.5. And he had his floor game last week. We've seen that before against Jacksonville, 20.82 points. That's his floor game, right? And Patty Mahomes, it really doesn't matter where he's doing it, right? At the home, 27.2. On the road, yeah, he has better numbers on the road, but I just think that he has to have better numbers somewhere, right? He's playing so consistent that he's going to end up having better numbers somewhere. It is notable that it is basically a 4-point difference on the road, so it's like an extra touchdown on the road. Maybe that's because that they're playing in closer games. Are not blowing teams out as frequently on the road, so he has to play a little bit more, push the needle a little bit more in the passing game. But they're the 2 most expensive players. I'm going to go through. I'm going to make a lineup from, like I said, a tournament perspective, but this could also be a cash game lineup, just like your cash game lineup can be a tournament lineup. In these one-game slates, there's so much variance that it really doesn't. It doesn't matter what format you're playing. Of course, you can go kickers and be a little bit more safe in cash games to ensure that you get like an extra 10 points if you're playing 2, upwards of 30 points from your kickers. But that's not the way that I'm going to go. I think that is a viable strategy for this game where we're expecting the highest to over-under possibly ever. I think it is ever approaching 64 points, 63 in that range. So obviously I think each kicker is good for double digits this game, especially if each team is probably only going to score touchdowns. You're probably still going to get like 5 points out of your kicker. So a floor of 5 points in these types of games for a kicker is pretty good. We'll see what we could fit into this lineup. I want to go down, and I just want to show you guys something quick. This is Draft Dashboard. I mentioned it in a few videos prior. Basically, you just get to see extended stats. We're on Draftkings right now. You could pick that up right here. We're on the one-game slate, so I put in this Monday night slate. And basically, it's everything you get to see on Draftkings. You can click on them to see their past game results. You get to see their points per game, their amount of receiving targets per game, receiving yards per game, whatever it might be, rushing attempts per game, receiving receptions per game. You get to see percentage ownership in standard leagues, just to see how popular they are maybe. You get to see just their snap percentage, touch percentage, projections. And then there's another thing that you can do, and I'll have to make this a little bit bigger here, just because my screen. This right here is just, you can see I have this on red. That means that I watch list Patrick Mahomes. I could watch list Todd Gurley, obviously. I'm going to want to be playing him tonight, or in some lineups at least. And then basically what you do is you go into this watch list, and you can see all your guys. And you can make a lineup optimizer. It'll generate them all for you. There's a lot you can do with this. Like I said, it's in the description below if you're interested. Basically, it's just $1 for a month, so really just sign up for it if you want, and then delete it after a month if you don't like it. It's just a way to get extra information quicker, so lower your information costs, and also just refine your process, really. That's what I've been doing, using it for like 2 weeks now, and it's actually helping. I'm going to use it for the slate tonight. But I just wanted to point that out there for you guys. It's in the description below if you're interested. But yeah, so just building a lineup out here. We can see number 3 is Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill, there's 2 guys that I'm going to be interested in playing in the captain spot outside of like a standard build, I would say. So obviously, there's a great chance that Gurley's going to go for 30 in this game. There's a great chance that he goes for 40 in this game since it's such a high total, since he has an incredible red zone role. He's getting all the touches out there. He has 17 touchdowns on the year. We know everything about him. I just don't think there's any way he goes for less than that unless we see somehow the Chiefs blow out the Rams, which I'm not expecting in this game. So let's say you just do a standard build with Gurley in the captain spot, spending a lot of money. Now you're going to have to go down in a lot of position and a lot of other spots on this slate. And there is value down here, right? I mean, Malcolm Brown, he's scored a touchdown. Yes, he doesn't get a ton of work, but he scored a touchdown. And he will get work if it is a blowout in the Rams' favor, which, again, I don't expect any of that to happen. Value, really, in this range, you're not going to find. We already know what each team does. We know that it's Gurley and the 3 wide receivers out there with a little bit sprinkling the tight ends for Goff. And we know that in that Chiefs offense, basically it's Travis Kelce, it's Kareem Hunt, it's Tyreek Hill, and Sammy Watkins is questionable. That's probably the biggest injury to point out. If he's not in there, maybe you get some of the backup wide receiver, which we saw none of last week. But again, this week, going up against a weaker secondary in the Saints, I can see it paying off. He's questionable for tonight, but it really doesn't seem like he's going to play since he didn't practice that much this past week. So that's when you get like the Chris Conleys of the world. And that's when you get the Chris Conleys of the world, and you get, I think there's another wide receiver, Robinson, who did have a couple catches last week, probably played better than Thompson. And at $1,000, he might be the dart throw, right? So let's say that Sammy Watkins, we're just going to do like an if-then statement. Sammy Watkins isn't playing, and you want to get somebody cheap so you can fit in some other guys. Robinson might be a bet to do that, and we could plug him in here. Where'd he go? So for $1,000, we could plug in Robinson. Now you're up to $78K, which is actually not a bad amount of money to be able to spend, but on this slate, there's just so many guys that are so expensive, right? So a couple of the guys that I want to play, really no matter what, like I want to fit both quarterbacks in, because I think both quarterbacks, one, if you get both quarterbacks, you have Gurley and Goff, so you're capturing all the touchdowns right there from that side of the ball virtually. And then if you get Patty Mahomes, you're basically capturing, 3 touchdowns in this game you can insure him for. Maybe he gets to run one in. It's just, can we fit both quarterbacks in a lineup like this? At 5,250, I think we can. And I think that's actually really good for us, because Gurley's going to get work in the passing game, so you can get some correlation there with Jared Goff. You can capture all their touchdowns, like I said. Maybe you get if you get a Robinson touchdown, then this lineup's already going to be probably in the cash, depending on what you do with these last 2. Again, you can maybe go like Josh Reynolds now. I don't think I want to go that route. I think I would rather go like really cheap, which right here we have the kickers who aren't really cheap, but you throw a kicker in there, you can get up to 7,100, which doesn't get you Travis Kelce. Now that's a shame. And you can't even do it here. So you can see how tight they made these salaries. You're just off with Travis Kelce there. I don't want to play a defense in this game because we know how high the point total is. You're going to rely really on a pick six or a kickoff return, which you could get. Let's say you do kickoff return. If we could have got up to Hunt, again, this is just so close. 8,700. If you get 8,800 right there and you can get Hunt in this lineup, which we can if we come down at Gurley at captain, right? Then you get the correlation. Or actually, I was going to go for, where's my guy? Tyreek. Hunt, I think, is a great play, but Tyreek, I was going to say you get the correlation, nowhere near fitting him. You get the correlation with if he takes one back to the house and you know that he's going to have a huge game. This man has huge games. His career road and away splits are just insane. He's doing that again this year, 9-point difference, over a 9-point difference, road and away. He's on the road in this game in prime time. This is literally reeks of a Tyreek Hill explode game. Malcolm Peters can't cover anybody on the outside right now, and really nobody can cover Tyreek Hill in the entire league, let alone stay with him. They get the ball in his hands in weird ways. He'll go into the slot, he'll go into the backfield, he's going to return kicks. In a high total game, if they're going to have a ton of points, there's just so many ways you can go with this game, and that's what I'm talking about, game theory. If you think it's going to be a Tyreek Hill explosion game, and even in a Tyreek Hill explosion game, this game isn't a blowout, right? So I think you go with something like this. If you can somehow fit this lineup, let's see. And maybe, again, you can go down, you can fit somebody else in the captain spot to fit these 4 guys right here is what I want. Right? You're getting the biggest ceiling on the entire slate if you get Tyreek Hill and Todd Gurley as position players in your lineup. And then you're capturing virtually all the other touchdowns for the Rams with getting Jared Goff in there, or a piece of all the other touchdowns for the Rams. And then you're getting Patrick Mahomes, who's been averaging 30 points, and in a game with a total like this, I don't see him going below 30. So it's just a matter of then actually getting anything else out of this lineup, right? And again, we can put in Robinson for $1,000, and then we're kind of left with nothing at this point, right? I mean, you're left with, if you want to go Conley, you want to go with the 2 wide receivers we're going to be filling in, which I don't think is a bad bet, but again, you see Conley here, 1 of 2. I'm going to have to check his snaps. Okay, actually, wait. We can check his snaps. I didn't even mean to, like, plan this like this, but I want to check Conley's snaps from last week, or this might be for the total year, so this isn't going to be, you break it down another way. So, Sammy Watkins, obviously, he's going to be injured. I don't think Watkins is going to play. Snap percentage, 68% of the snaps, and when we look at Robinson, 27% of the snaps. Now, I think that's the entire year, so I don't want to go off of that, but I do know that Conley has been playing more percentage of the snaps the entire year. But again, Robinson had the more receptions last week, more targets, but I'm not looking too much into that because it was 4 compared to 2 in 1 week sample size, right? I think this is really throwing a dart, and that's what you're going to have to do in this situation. Now, you can fit all these guys if you go somewhere weird at captain, right? Like, let's say you were to go Robinson at captain, or you were to go Conley. I mean, pick your flavor at that point if Watkins is out. Like, if Watkins is out, you're not going to be doing this. But in such a high total game, who's he going to throw the ball to, right? He's going to throw it to Tyreek, he's going to throw it to some, to Hunt, and he's going to throw it to Kelsey. And, like, as I say those names, I want Hunt and Kelsey in my lineups too, right? It's just impossible because all of them are priced up so much. Kelsey's a primetime player. He's going to do well. The Rams really can't cover the tight end. And Kareem Hunt is also going to do well. Like, the Rams, yes, they can stop the run in between the tackles, but on the outside they can't. They can't stop a pass catching running back to save their lives. I think that this slate is just so game flow dependent on what you think is going to happen. Like, if Tyreek Hill goes off, you know you're set as long as you just have Tyreek Hill in your lineup. I think that players that are going to be a little bit lower owned, and Travis Kelce's cheap at $7,400. Like, that's pretty cheap relative to the other guys for a guy who's been super consistent, getting double-digit points every single week except week 1. But really a guy who can go for 30 in these types of games, catch touchdowns. He has a good matchup against the Rams. There's just a lot you can go with. We haven't even mentioned the 3 wide receivers for the Rams. Obviously, they're going to be in play. You can go game flow, and you can say the Rams are just going to blow the doors off the Chiefs, go all Rams, bring it back with, like, Kareem Hunt or something. Or maybe not Kareem Hunt if it's a blowout, bring it back with, like, a Tyreek. But let's try and build this lineup that we were talking about. We get Gurley, we get Tyreek, we get Mahomes, we get Goff. You're getting the 4 most expensive players, and you get Robinson. If Watkins played, I don't hate this, but again, that's going to cancel out Robinson's value. You can fit Watson. Outside of there, maybe you can go and you can get Greg the Leg. And now you're leaving $2,500 on the table, which on this slate could be dangerous. And again, you can go off and you could say, you know what, I'm going to expect Gurley to get a majority of the touchdowns. I'm going to take Goff out of this lineup. And then at $1,200, you can go really wherever you want. So right now we have 2 players, pass catchers right now for the Chiefs, and we get 1 running back / pass catcher. That's Gurley's an all-around player for the Rams. Let's get somebody else on the Rams in this lineup. You can pick who you really want out of these Rams here. I'm going to go, if we want a higher ceiling, Brandon Cooks. I think that he'll be on the outside. He has also a good matchup. And then you leave $4,300 on the table, which, again, I'm somebody who doesn't mind leaving money on the table, but if you can come up off of a kicker and get Travis Kelce in your lineup, this lineup's looking a little viable now. And again, you don't have Goff in this lineup, but you're sacrificing Goff to be able to put Cooks and Kelce, who both have high ceilings. Kelce also having a high floor, so he's not going to really kill you. And Cooks, who tears up these matchups, and he's having a career year. I think Cooks is that guy that you want to have overall. Look at his game logs. I think if we want to break down these receivers, I think Woods is the safest guy, right? So you're going to have Woods always going to get you a couple of receptions for basically 70-plus yards, right? He's been doing it every single game except 1. So Woods will be the guy that gets you there, right, if you want to play cash. Or he could be the guy who gets you there in a tournament if he catches 1 to 2 touchdowns. He'll be the safe guy to get you double-digit points. Woods is, but Cooks is the guy who's going to go off and get you 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, I believe. And then you got Cooper Kupp, who's going to be out this game. I believe he's going to be out for a little while now. Yeah, he's out already. So that does make Josh Reynolds a little viable in this situation. We saw that he had some flop lag the week that he was supposed to be hot, and then he came out, I think he caught a touchdown against the Packers. Nothing since Cooper Kupp's really played, but he's expected to start against Kansas City. They're going to go 3 wide a lot. They're one of the most they run the most 3 wides out of basically any team except I think the Packers in the situation. So Reynolds is also viable. I like this lineup a lot, right? So what you're getting here is a punt play at tight end. So this is a straight tournament, or a punt play at captain. This is a straight tournament play, right? And you could also come up, and I think... No, you can't. So I was going to say you could fit Reynolds. Reynolds is actually really expensive. Wow. So we can see what's the game's going to be later on if you want to go with, you can fit Conley in this lineup, or you can fit Robinson, or you can even fit Brown. I'm not going to go there. But Conley or Robinson, you could say which one you want to do. Whoever's playing the most snaps, I think it's Conley, but we'll just put Robinson for now. I think he's a pretty good weapon for them. So is Conley. These guys are just measurables that fit into that offense perfectly. What you're getting here is basically the 2 most explosive players on each side of the ball. Really, you're getting Cooks, you're getting Gurley, you're getting Tyreek, and you're getting Mahomes, the 2 most explosive players, and then you're still being able to get probably the best tight end in the league in your lineup, most consistent with a high ceiling, and then you're running it back with Robinson. So I like this type of lineup here because you're getting a ton of playmakers, you're increasing your ceiling to the max, really. Let's say we wanted to get one of these higher projected players into the captain spot. I think Travis Kelce is going to be a very popular captain because he's so cheap, and then he'll allow you to maybe get 2 more of these guys without going complete dart throw. Kareem Hunt's somebody I like. A lot of people are going to be scared off by this. Kareem Hunt's going to be a guy that I think is not going to be in a majority of lineups, and by majority I mean like he might only be like 25% owned, when a lot of these guys are going to be closer to 30 to 50 to 70% owned. Gurley probably closer to 90% owned. And that's the thing we can talk about. We've seen in the past fading running backs like Saquon on their last Monday night game. It pays off because they're going to be 88% owned like Saquon, and if you don't play him and he's not in that winning lineup, you're in that 12% that has a shot. So in this situation, I would be fading somebody like Gurley and probably fading somebody like Mahomes, who we're probably going to see. I would say Gurley's going to be in the 80% range, and since Mahomes is a quarterback, played a little bit less when people have to choose between Gurley and Mahomes, I would say Mahomes is going to be probably still around like 70% owned. That's how good he is. Gurley's going to be the 80%. So do you fade one of these guys? You can. You can fade a Todd Gurley in this situation and say that, yeah, he'll have a good game. He'll get you maybe 20 points, but you can survive if Gurley's only getting 20 points in a game like this. I just don't see it. And again, I didn't see it last week with Saquon. I had a couple without him. I had like 10 lineups entered. I think I had like 3 without him. But at that point, that's just trying to chase the lineup that doesn't have Saquon, and that's differentiated. But you're naturally being differentiated if you do something like this. If you go Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, you stack that side of the ball. You fade Tyreek, you fade Gurley, which is super dangerous in any of these high-scoring games. I think you're basically playing with fire more so than you ever really can. You go here, you go back to Robinson, and now you're at 7,600. You can't get Cooks. Now that's buns. So I guess you can go off of Goff, and now you can get 2 playmakers. You can get Cooks, you can get Woods. Woods is going to go now back into the slot. Now, again, this lineup is pretty viable as well, right? Like, you are fading Todd Gurley, who is very likely to go for 30-plus points and be the overall winning captain slot. But what you're getting instead is you're getting 3 viable playmakers for the Chiefs. You're getting 2 viable playmakers, the 2 best wide receivers right now on the Rams. You know that they're going to probably see at least 7 targets each, possibly 10 targets each, depending on what Todd Gurley's workload is coming out of the backfield. And you're getting your dart throw like you should in tournaments. You're leaving some money on the table, which I think is fine in this situation. Really nobody I want to come up for in this situation. I don't want to come up for Goff if it means that I have to go off of some players. Let's see if we did a lineup, which I think is probably going to be the most popular captain outside of maybe Gurley. I think it's going to be Kelce just due to his price. You'd still fit this. You'd still fit Mahomes. There's no way I'm coming off Mahomes off of that Chiefs secondary. Anybody can light up that Chiefs secondary. Russell Wilson's done it twice. Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, but he doesn't throw the ball all year, and he's lit up that secondary twice. There's no way I'm coming off of Mahomes. And again, that could be a great way of thinking that everybody's doing it and say, you know what, I'm going to fade Mahomes. Maybe he only gets 20 points this week, and it's the Kareem Hunt show. I just don't see it. I think it's really going to take a high score, and you're going to have to hit on everybody that hits this week. Let's see if we can fit Gurley there, so we can. There's no way you could fit Tyreek as well. And that's what scares me, not having Tyreek in this lineup. Can you do this? You can. Then you go down to Robinson, and you're going to have really low money to play with, 4,900. You can get Reynolds. All right. So, again, this is another lineup that is, I don't think, as safe. But, again, tournaments, who knows? Maybe not so much in cash. Kelsey's a guy who can go for 2 touchdowns any week. He did it 2 weeks ago. Tyreek's a guy who can literally tilt the slate. And if Tyreek tilts the slate, this lineup's going to hit. That's just as simple as it gets, especially if you put him in one of your captain spots. And then you're getting basically the number 3 wide receiver on each team. possibly number 2 wide receiver on each team. I'm going to count Kelsey as a wide receiver. So there's a lot of ways we can go with this slate. And again, like I can just put all these guys that I just basically have been talking about, which is literally on a 1-game slate, everybody, right? Literally everybody we've been talking about. I didn't talk about the tight ends, and that could be a sneaky play like Everett. I mean, we have Everett right here. I didn't talk about him. He gets like 4 targets a game, right? He gets 3 to 4 targets a game. If he gets in the end zone, he could be tilting. But again, even if he gets in the end zone on 1 catch, which like in most weeks is good, he's at 2,400 and he's going to get you like 8 or 9 points. That's pretty good, but like you have to hit on those other guys that you're going to get up on in this game because everybody's going to score points. Spencer Ware, I don't really want. Chris Conley, again, it could be the Conley show over Robinson. I just don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it's going to go that way. We can check out some of these cheaper guys as well. But basically, I'll just show you if you guys were to use this. You get all your players in here. You get them all optimized. And then you can go to Lineup Optimizer. And it'll basically generate you some lineups. You can alter this a little bit to like give you new lineups. You can lock people into certain positions. So if you want Gurley in the captain spot, you randomize it. You get him in the captain spot. And it's just going to randomize some lineups. So I'm pretty sure this isn't a lineup that we made, but this is also a viable lineup. You don't have Patrick Mahomes though. But again, any of these lineups can hit. It just does it for you, so you don't have to do all the math. You can see what you're doing. It's $1 for a month, so I think it's worth it if you want to check it out. If not, who cares? If not, I don't care really. But if you want to go down to the description, you can cancel it. Literally the second you pay for it for $1 if you want. So that's just the way that I'm handling this slate. I guess just things to point out are that you can fit some of these top guys in there, right? Because you have actually decent value. Like I'm surprised that $1,000 is Robinson, who we saw he had a good run last week, and I'm surprised that Conley is so cheap. I think that this Chiefs offense is pretty concentrated, so that could be why, but I think DraftKings messed it up by putting these guys at literally only $1,000 down in this range, and so is Conley. So there's some value. Brown does get some work. He's going to be in a decent amount of lineups. I'd say at least 5 to 10% of lineups, but I think that's a really long shot. Nobody down here is worth it. I think in this game where we're expecting points, you want the quarterbacks, you want Patrick Mahomes, and if you're going to fade Jared Goff, who's been incredible at home especially, and when the total is high, when the other team can score, and this is a soft Chiefs secondary, I think you do want to start out by doing something like this. But again, you can get away from that and you can actually probably make some differentiated lineups. I think you need to have this. Like I think this is a build that a lot of people are going to want to start with. And then it's going to force a lot of people, like we've been saying, to go into this range and get one of these receivers. And then you're kind of left out to dry here. Like, I want to have Tyreek in my lineups. I don't know if I can afford that. This would be the ultimate differentiated lineup. Nobody's going to put Greg Zuerlein in the captain spot. Maybe he hits 6 field goals and he gets you 28 points in the captain spot, whatever he might get you. And then you basically win because you get everybody else. But, like, I want to somehow get these 4 guys in a lineup. I just want to. And I know that you can if we did what we just did earlier and we went down and we did Robinson in the captain spot or Brown or something. And then you can come up and you can fit Reynolds there. And you can do something like that, but I think that's maybe taking away a little bit too much. If I'm going to get these 4 in a lineup, I might just chalk it with a $200 guy who might get me 1 catch, because that at least allows me to get a guy like Todd Gurley who can get 40 points in this game, get you 60 points in the captain spot in. So I'll just lastly do this and see if we can do it. Like, you have literally no money left, but if we were to just go with Robinson and then you have $500, it's literally you are punting like the ball, right? Might as well put Cooper Kupp in here because you're probably going to get a 0. But again, we can throw somebody in who might have an opportunity to get 4 points is all you really need out of a $200 guy. He'll double his value at that point, the $200 price times 2. But there's nobody down here, right? There's literally nobody down here. I'm just looking at the guys who have any type of points on the year. The Rams, maybe you can go for the Rams and say Reynolds won't do much. He has some targets. So, like, you just throw this guy in here, right? And the playing here is that this guy catches you, like, 1 ball for 10 yards. He gets you 2 points, right? He meets value at 2 points for $2. And then this allows you to open up Todd Gurley and captain, who can go for 60, or even Tyreek Hill and captain, who, again, can have just as good of a game as Gurley will have on this slate. You can fit Gurley then and there, and now you can actually come up a decent amount of 1,400. You can get some more value. You can get Conley in this lineup. So I think that this is a pretty good lineup. I think you want to maximize the captain spot in this game. You want to say who's going to go out there and score the most points. Build 3 to 5 lineups around those guys. Put Kelsey, put Hunt. We haven't talked too much about Hunt, but I like him a lot. I think he's going to be very low owned based on his price. He's priced basically around all the top guys, right? He's above these guys, and these people are going to come down for Kelsey a lot. They're going to ignore probably Cooks. But I think this is a viable build. Obviously, you're going with a lot of Chiefs in this lineup, but it's going to be anywhere. I think the game's going to be exciting. I think you should play 1 to 3 to 5 lineups if you have the money to throw into a tournament, or even cash games if you want. I think it's just going to be a very exciting game, high point totals. And if you're somebody who's crazy and you want to be the 2% who have a chance to win, if you say that this game's going to be low scoring and you play a kicker with a defense in your lineup, glory to you. Obviously, we know people are going to be doing that. But this is just the way that I see this slate turning out. High point total. I don't really see any other way unless there's a ton of injuries, which we're not rooting for. But that's about it. My first look video is also out. It should be out literally right now as you're watching this one. So I appreciate it if you guys, if you're new here, if you could hit that subscribe button. If you've watched this far, you might as well subscribe. It's just basically right in the bottom right corner of the screen. You can click it right there. It's also on the landing page on the end of this. And if you've been here or you're new here, if you could hit that like button, helps the channel out a ton. Comment below who you think's gonna be going off. There's a fly like dying right on my window. Jesus. Comment below who you think's gonna be going off tonight. Who should be in the captain spot tonight, right? Another thing is I'm at 450 subscribers. This channel's been growing 400 subscribers in about a month now. And I want to get to 500 subscribers this week. I think it's very viable based on what we've been doing. But if you can smash that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Check the description for below if this is something, this fantasy draft dashboard, that you're interested in for $1 for a month. I think that it's really low risk and you can get a decent amount out of it, increase your DFS game strategy, time, all that type of stuff. But I appreciate it. First look video is also out. Go check that out, guys. It'll be on the end screen. My name's Sal. Be good. Best of luck tonight. Enjoy the game. It's going to be incredible. Peace.